I don't even know what to say anymore. Right after I order my GTX 950 at around $130, AMD comes barreling in with their 480 VR ready card at $200. I could have just saved a little more. I legitimately need to kill myself right now. Anyways, this isn't about the 480 or, you know, this is more about my GTX 950 I'm getting tomorrow. For a while, my Pentium G3240 has been chugging along on my PC on its integrated graphics since, you know, I just bought it. I just didn't have the money for a graphics card back then. It's a pretty decent processor, I'll tell you that. It's just a locked version of a G3258 Pentium, which is just an unlocked version. Wow, I really... The G3258 is just it's a great The G3258 is a perfect processor for just cheap budget gaming. I can get okay frame rates for a handful of older games at 1080p, and some modern ones in general for on low, like 800 by 600. I'll first show you guys some benchmarks with a handful of games with the integrated graphics. Then, after adding my GTX 950 tomorrow, I'll run the same benchmarks, albeit at higher settings, obviously. So, take a seat, get comfy, and I'll take you guys into the realm of the GTX 950. Well, I'll also take you guys into the realm of integrated graphics and low at 800-600 on the modern games, but that's besides the point. Anyways, as you can see here, if my stupid iPhone would focus, yeah, it has a G3240, 3.1 GHz, with 8 GB of RAM. And this is this is the night before, so I'm getting the GTX 950 tomorrow. Anyways, let's run some benchmarks. GTA 5, as you can see here, doesn't run all that bad on integrated graphics. The frame rate hovers around 30 indoors and jumps up to 40 when there aren't that many items on screen to render. Stepping outside drops the frame rate down to 25-26 on foot, which still feels tolerable. Driving drops down even further to the low 15 to 20 frame rate, but the vehicle still feels okay to drive. Overall, the game is pretty playable. In fact, looking at my save files will show that I've played almost 30% of the single player already. That doesn't count any of the digging around I've done in single player thus far. This game. This freaking game. I haven't started this game yet, mostly because I was testing frame rate to see if this game was viable to record for a Let's Play. I want to have a blind playthrough of the alleged game of trial and error. As you can see, this is probably one of the most playable recent games on my machine. I get mid-40s most of the time. At the lowest settings, 720p, the game looks pretty decent. I'm used to these looks because on my old potato laptop I always played on low 800 by 600 on even the oldest of games. I could barely get a playable frame rate. Attempting to lower the frame rate by looking at the waterfall makes it dip down to high 30s, nothing too bad. Although this might matter a bit more in combat, if I may presume. Looking at a slightly older game like Black Ops 2 with all the explosions and constant gunfire, you should think that the frame rate would drop pretty low. Believe it or not, however, this is 800 by 600 and doesn't look at all worse compared to consoles. By all means, this is very playable. The frame rate drips pretty low, but does a lot better than GTA 5 when in high action. I am pleasantly surprised by this little processor, not so bad for integrated graphics. Come on, it's been stuck on confirming match. Okay, what the hell? What the hell? Oh, you f... Moving on to Russian Strike Silver Offensive, this is one of the more modern games that can actually output 1080p at a decent frame rate. This isn't a surprise because I personally know CSGO is still playable on some potatoes. The game harbors about an average of 40 FPS. I feel so dirty for using the scar, but I just decided to use a bonus weapon. And I spray with it, of course. The game performs pretty well, albeit not in 60, which may matter more to more professional players. I can play competitive without that many hitches. For some reason, when smokes go popping, my frames go down significantly. Looking at the smoke makes my frames feel as if my computer has a hairdryer blowing on it, raising the temperature. I can't show it here, but moving on to League of Legends. The game runs at 1080p on high settings, at around 60 frames, consistently. Probably the only game that will probably run high at a full 60 besides, older games like Source, which I don't have. The only reason why I can't show it today here, now, is because it's updating. Moving on to the final game in our list is Undertale. This graphically intensive beast runs at a pure 30 frames per second, and we know that this game is probably the most graphically intensive because the human eye will not see more than 30 FPS. I'm just kidding. It's BioShock Infinite.
And a 1, and a 2, and a 1, 2, infinite. Let's begin another story.
Yet another game running at 720p low, it manages to pull off mid-40s indoors. Even in times when the game is rendering tons of items on screen that would normally lower FPS, the system manages to keep the frames above 30 most of the time. Drops below 30 are minimal at most. The FPS drops are barely noticeable. Overall, a solid game if you have a potato with integrated graphics. This is more prevalent on the Max integrated graphics because this is one of the only AAA games available on the Mac store as of now. The reason why I know this? Well, I used to be a Mac gamer. Just don't make fun of me. I built a PC, alright? It wasn't even my Mac, it was my parents', I swear to God. They actually don't use it anything more than an overglorified Facebook and tax machine. After a whole 5 days, it's actually finally here. The only reason why I ordered this from Best Buy is because my dad had a $125 gift certificate to use there, and we price matched it so it's the same price at Newegg. So that's fun to exploit. The GTX 950. Let's open this up. You have no idea how... Oh, hey, dog. Fine. You have no idea how good this feels to use. Ooh. Oh! That's a nice inclusion. A nice EVGA pin to put on your computer. And it's made of metal. Oh, stickers? I actually did not know it came with that much. Screw this CD. I already got the drivers downloaded. Oh, and a poster. Cool. I actually want to open this poster in a second. Ah. It's a movie poster. I'm going to put a picture of it. I can't let you necessarily see it because it's actually so dark I personally can't see it well, but I'm going to post a picture of it on the screen somewhere. This is a nice poster. Different place. Yeah, I know. Sorry about the stock cooler. That probably made you guys cringe. Also, don't mind the dust. I need to go bye. Also, the bad thing about the case I chose is that there is no cable management whatsoever. But that's fine since I'm not running anything ridiculous. Oh, bliet. The power supply is inside. 1 second. This is probably the worst case ever. I mean, it's an okay starter case, but if you need to build everything first. There is no hard drive cage. I actually had to screw it directly into these really shoddy things, but that's fine, I guess. In order to access my... cable management. In order to access the power supply so I could plug it in here, I had to remove the hard drive where it's just sitting there. And yeah, it's kind of just hell. But overall, not so bad. I'm gonna actually still cut to it so I can plug it in and reassemble everything and then put in the graphics card. So, Alright, after getting that cable fiasco out of the way, I finally got my 6-pin connected to my power supply, and so, well, according to this case, the best way to hide the power supply, the cable management, is to hide all the cables back there. Perfect, and it keeps it relatively okay. I know lots of you advanced PC builders are going to cringe at this, but, you know, this isn't a case you would normally buy. I just tried to figure out orientations and stuff. This is probably the most satisfying part of any graphics card or computer parts. Oh, that's pretty satisfying. You know what I mean? You can only have that satisfy. You know what? This is a terrible video. And for a lack of a better word, my PC case is essentially done. I actually had to unscrew this thing on the back, which lifted it up so I could actually fit it inside. And if you look down there, the clearance between the motherboard and the side of the case isn't all that much. So it was kind of hard to fit the ports through the slot. So yeah, it was kind of hell, but in the end, it's probably not worth it. Invest in a better case. And let's get some benchmarks. Painted everything in Splatoon, the testing level. Like every single corner. Like you will not find one spot. This is probably the greatest achievement of my life and my brother's life. I don't think we actually missed a spot, yeah. Now, back to editing. This is literally like the frickin' 8th take. I'm sorry guys, I've been making up this dialogue on the fly, you know? A couple of months later, I'm not joking, I am filming this a couple of months later, a long time after I filmed the original thing. I mean, I've been procrastinating this end on end because I couldn't find a suitable conclusion to this video. Anyways, I thought that a low to mid-end budget processor as the G3240 with bottleneck mid-end card, or an entry-level card such as the GTX 950, but it's actually surprisingly worked. Not as good as it should have with like probably an i3 or something, but it worked a lot better than I thought it would. It didn't heavily bottleneck that many applications. That is my PC, Nintendo. And so I really don't have a better ending for this. I mean, I guess I could get my dog in. Anyways, this is Gizmo Gaming signing out. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed that really messed up, poorly cut together video, and if you haven't already, subscribe.